All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Gabriel Cepeda. I'm your host and also the CEO of the Intelligent Teenager, an organization that's dedicated to connecting young entrepreneurs and investors. We've got a great show for you guys today as I'm here with Chris Altchek, who's the co-founder and CEO of Mike.com. And today's topic is the startup generation, capturing the youth market. Chris, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thanks for having me.
What would you say is the best piece of advice you could give when it comes to the actual fundraising process for a startup?
Yeah, so I think, I would say there's three pieces of advice I'd give. One is when you structure your pitch, open with the big vision. So in the beginning, when I was talking about Mike, and it was called Policy Mike at the time, as you said, I would say, oh, we've grown Policy Mike to 500,000 monthly unique visitors. We've created all this content. We've got traction on Facebook. I talk about all the things we did well, without emphasizing and getting the investor really excited about the big vision. And so, now when I talk about Mike, it's the first thing I say in any meeting, if it's an investor meeting, is, at Mike, we're building the New York Times CNN for our generation. By 2016, we will reach more millennial readers than both those news services combined, and be more important of a news platform than both those brands combined. We will be the strongest and most trusted news brand for an entire generation. And then you say that, and they're like, okay, is this guy lying, or does he have the goods to back it up? And now they're going to grill you. And now you're going to have a conversation, and instead of me pitching, what we've done, I'm able to explain them. They're going to be asking me questions. They're intrigued. They want to know, is this the real deal or not? So another example would be, if I were pitching Airbnb 5 years ago, my pitch would have been, by 2015, Airbnb is going to control 30% of hotel bookings worldwide. Hotel bookings worldwide is a $1 trillion industry. 30% of that is $30 billion a year. That's going to be Airbnb. Yeah. And if you're an investor, you're like, okay, what is this guy talking about? Now I'm excited. Let's have a conversation. Maybe I don't trust him, so let's see what what his plan is, what they've done to date, how good the team is, all that kind of stuff. But you've gotten somebody's attention, versus a lot of entrepreneurs sort of make a rambling pitch that doesn't really paint a very clear picture in the investor's mind as to why they would want to own your business. And so that would be number one, is just lead with a bang, lead with a big vision, focus on what's next, focus on the future and the promise, and then work backwards to back it up. Once your investor's engaged.
So when you're approaching investors, when it comes to the business model and the financial side of it, where you're actually establishing a profitable or potentially profitable business, how do you address those issues? Because obviously that always comes up into the conversation. How can we make this? How can we put this in a position to generate revenue? How do you approach that?
Yeah, so I think you obviously need to have a very solid financial plan that makes sense. In our case, there's, and media and actually consumer web social products that rely on advertising have a general rule, which is if you hit a certain scale, then advertising becomes relevant, and you can actually drive real money on advertising. And most of these products have been able to prove that out, from Facebook to Twitter, now to LinkedIn, to all these different high-scale social products, consumer products. If you can get to a certain scale, you can make money on advertising. And so the important part for investors is defining what that scale is. And so for us, that scale was really 10 million monthly uniques. Once we got to 10 million monthly uniques, we would be big enough if we had a good enough brand and good enough readers to attract the best advertisers in the world. And so that's what we told investors. And they were like, okay, well, some investors were like, well, prove it when you have 2 million monthly uniques. And you're like, well, I'm not going to spend time getting advertisers when I have 2 million monthly uniques, because it's not worth the time or the money. It's when I get to 10 million, I'm going to prove it. And so then you have to sort of really back it up and show that the other websites that have achieved similar scale have been able to monetize at that size. And so for us, when we got to 10 million monthly uniques, we started our advertising push. We signed up GE, Cadillac, Microsoft, Cole Haan, but that actually took, that took 6 months, and by that time we were already at 18 million monthly uniques. So we ended up monetizing later than we expected because we grew faster and it took longer to close sales deals. That being said, that's what you're trying to convince people of, and showing them the math.
All right. Getting them to share the vision as well, of course.
Yeah, getting them to share the vision and understand, each eyeball is worth 50 cents or $1 per month, and if that's the case, then this whole package is worth X per month in revenue. And the more you can, bake the math out in a simple way for investors, the more likely they are to trust you.